are
Morning.
you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm ready to talk about your books. Y'all, I'm Yoko with Girlfriends Unfiltered, and today again we have author Shae Sanders. And I'm excited because she's given us this opportunity to really delve into an author's mind, a brilliant mind. She crafts amazing stories. And I'm going to introduce her and we're going to get started. If you guys want to come back, I'm going to post this afterwards. I also post it over on YouTube. So follow Girlfriends Unfiltered interviews on YouTube and you'll find all the interviews there. They give you a better opportunity to move the interview forward and backward as you choose. Um, let's get started. Today we have author Shae Sanders. She's been writing since 2019. She's written over 45 books. She writes edgy, very steamy, clever, and spicy romances, um, which include an array of tropes. Um, she holds your attention because she has such amazing character development. She really she really crafts that well. She makes sure that you feel like you are a part of her stories. She writes Black love stories with resemblance of women who are like her. She enjoys reading television and she loves to eat sweets. Y'all, today, this is author Shae Sanders. Yay!
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having
Yes,
me.
absolutely, absolutely. So, the first question that I always ask is, when did you fall in love with Black romance?
So I came to Black romance a little bit late because I grew up mostly reading scary stuff. My older sisters had Stephen King and those kinds of books. So I grew up reading horror, murder mysteries, and things like that. I did read Jackie Collins though. My sister's Jackie Collins books, which I shouldn't have been reading. So that those lean a little more toward romance, but not quite. And I actually started out writing mysteries when I first started writing. And then I read Christina C. Jones. Just picked up a book of hers, read it, and I was like, wait, this is amazing. And then you kind of just find other authors through the first gateway author, if you will. And so I really got into Black romance around 2018, believe it or not. So very late in my life, and I'm so glad I did.
What is your writing experience? Did you just pick it up and it was a gift, or did you go to school? Did you take courses? What has that journey been like for you?
So my writing, no, I wouldn't say it's a gift at all. I was in grad school and I was writing my thesis, and I mean, it's basically like a long research paper, and I
Okay.
needed because like academic writing, it's tedious, but that process taught me how to write. And my academic advisor, my mentor, she would always say, writing is an iterative process. You're gonna write, you're gonna edit it, you're gonna write it again, and so being in grad school kind of trained me how to write. It's technical writing, but it's still writing. So by the time I picked up my pen to work on mysteries and then later romance, I kind of knew how to write. It was just figuring out how to bring characters to life, how to, touch people's emotions, because you can't fake that and you can't make that technical. Like you really have to feel that. And so that was really the process for me. Is like the technical writing and then the stuff that really touches people. I had to learn how to do that too.
Well, what about the stories that you craft, like the ideas? How do you come up with those? Like, I think I heard of authors like I said, hiking, going to the mall, watching people, or maybe something that you've experienced in your personal life. Is there something that motivates you to write these stories?
Sometimes, most of the time, I'm just kind of struck with something like, oh, what if such and such happened, and it's like a little kernel, and then it eventually grows. I have pulled on my life for some things. Like I got divorced a few years ago, so I pulled on that. After my divorce, you might have started to see divorced people show up in my books. So sometimes, yeah,
Okay.
sometimes art imitates life. But for the most part, it's just kind of like there's a seed planted, something that I saw. For Calling Mrs. Taylor, I was telling a book club. I saw the movie Gone Girl, and the main character was unhinged. And I was thinking, Black girls should be unhinged sometimes too, you know, and that kind of just planted the seed. And I didn't start writing Calling You Tater till years after I saw Gone Girl, but like it was in there. And it was just a matter of bringing that to the page.
That was heat. I, I was trying to go slow before we jump into, but I am. I'm gonna pull back because we once we get into Calling Me Miss Taylor, it's gonna be just. I have so many questions, and I know everyone else does. And by the way, if you guys have questions and you're watching, you can write it in the where's the circle and the question mark, and we'll try to get to that. Um, Black romance. Why Black romance? Like you said, you did Jackie Collins, you were doing mysteries, even though you with Christina C. Jones because um her catalog is so vast, right? So, but what was it that said, you know what, I'm gonna write these Black love stories and I'm gonna make them Black? Like, why did you do that?
You know how like you read a good book and it's like magic. It's magical to you. That's what Black romance was to me. Because I mean, you know, I read these other things, the horror, the mystery, blah blah blah. It didn't touch me. I mean, they might have been amazing stories, finely crafted, but it was like Black romance really touches on something inside. It's like I see myself. I see what love can be. I see the love that we deserve. I see, you know, the celebration of us as Black women. And it's just that's something that you just I mean I think deep down inside like we crave that down here somewhere. It's like a magnet. Like I am attached to this particular genre. Like I'm attached to it. Mystery, not so much. You know, political thrillers, it's not as much. I mean, I like those stories; they're great, but like I am not connected like I am with Black romance.
Let me ask you this because I always ponder this question because I love reading, and I know you said you love to read. And when did you like? I couldn't imagine saying, especially reading CCJ's work and other authors. I know around that time it was Love Belden, it was so many, Sabrina C. Scales, and so many of you guys, to say, I'm going to have to pause reading these books and I need to write. Like, how did you make yourself stop?
Yeah, that's an excellent question actually, because it's like I'm not one of those people who can read as I'm writing. Like I only read between books or when I'm, you know, have writer's block. But I think it was after that first CCJ book, it was getting schooled. And I told my friend, because I had just published my third mystery, and I told my friend, I was like, I think I'm gonna switch. Like there's something about this. Like I feel like this is my lane. And so you know, of course I had to like put the reading part down and switch to writer mode. And you know, but I'll always be a reader at heart. But yeah, it's two different settings. And so, you know, as a writer, like I have to switch over, flip the switch, and then put the words to the page. But yeah, it was after CCJ. Like she's my hero.
I love that. I love that. You said it was magical. What exactly is magical about Black love?
It's just it's like it's a soul kind of it's like our rhythm. It's like our food. It's just kind of like our culture, but in words. And it's like, you know, and I love reading, you know, a Black author, and it's like, you know, they've got the AAVE in there, and it's just really authentically Black. And there's just something about it. I mean, you can't. It's just something about it that, like I said, it touches me in here. I feel like I could be that person. I could be that woman. That could be my life. And I'm like grateful to the author for waking up, you know, making up this world that I can immerse myself in just for a little bit, you know. So it's also escapism, but to a place I want to be, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting because hearing you talk and you talk about the way the authors, but for us, it's you because you are that author. How does it feel taking up that space, trans moving yourself from that reader to that author, and now you're in that space creating these worlds of love for us?
I'll be honest, I still have imposter syndrome. I still don't even think
Really?
of myself as in the same, you know, space as the authors that I've been reading. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get to that point, but I just still feel like I kind of snuck in there. And I still sometimes can't believe people actually read the stuff that I wrote. They open their wallet and they pay for it and they read it and they like it. It's very surreal to me. Yeah, like I said, I don't know that I'll ever get used to that. I did my first book event, Black Women's Book Fest, and it was like surreal that people knew who I was and they could.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
You've
It
been
was just
writing since 2019. That the BRBF was your first? Wow.
yeah.
Wow. I
I
would not
have
have known that.
Yeah, I have a little bit of social anxiety, so I kind of shied away from
Hmm.
doing that. And I never used to show my face, on my social media
Right.
accounts. I was like, I'm not here for that. I'm just here to write. I don't want to be, I don't want to be known. I just want to write. But I now I know that's part of it. Connecting with your readers, you can't hide in the dark, for your entire career. Like you got to get out there. So
Well, I always say these books are saving lives. That the worlds that you are creating are places that we need to transport ourselves to sometimes just for our mental health and our comfort. And you write heavy work. Um, call me Miss Taylor. Let me hold it up. I have it here. This book was really heavy. We're going to get into this book. But what do you do for your self care since you're offering that space for us?
um, I if I can get into if there's a show that I can binge, that's what I do. So like recently it's been Love Island. I binged season 6 after it had already gone. I didn't know anything about Love Island, and I saw something on social media. I was like, let me see what they're talking about, and it was addictive. So binging shows and then eating gelato. That's kind of vegging out. That's how I relax. That's how I care for myself.
Mhm.
Both of my kids are in college, so I'm an empty nester, and so I don't have I really don't have much I have to do, around the house. So it's like I'm always resting. When I'm not writing, I'm always resting. I don't have to cook if I don't want to cook. So, I care for myself in that way too. Like if I don't feel like it, I'm just not going to do it today. And
Wow.
that's very helpful in, relieving my stress, honestly. So,
Well, listen, I think the first book I read of yours was indeed this one.
yeah.
And I remember reading this book and holding it because the physical book, it wasn't physical. I don't think I had physical book, but I remember laughing so hard that I was in tears, and it was the first time that I read a book that made me laugh till I just could not stop. Just the tears. It was just so funny, and you did such a great job with it. And my question is, when you step into a community like this, and like you said, who the favorites that you are, how do you feel when it's like, let me stop. You came in hot. I guess that's what I want to say. Like you already came in with these amazing stories, and then you wrote a risky this one. How has it been for you writing risky stories, taking chances so early on in your career?
That's a good question. And I still look back like, what on earth led me to write a Why Choose when I wrote that? Because it was very difficult. I mean, 4 different love interests, right? And I look back on that like I don't even know how I did that because it's not easy. But I think I don't know. Because I didn't show my face, because I write under pen name. I was like, I'm gonna just write what I want to write, and
Okay.
I don't have to, answer to anybody about it. It's not gonna affect my, other career. So I'm gonna just go for broke, and if it comes to me, I'm gonna write it. No taboo. So like my very first romance, I think it was First Class Love, which is a small novella, and it was erotica. I didn't set out to write erotica, but it's like as I was writing, it was like, okay, they about to get busy, and I like this part. So I don't know. That I think that's just kind of where I was with it. Like it was an outlet, and that's kind of where I ended up. That's the lane I ended up
What made you do use well self-publishing? Because your work is self-published. How has that experience been for you? And what did that journey look like for there may be some authors or some people who are considering writing. Can you give a little bit of information on what that journey looked like for self-publishing?
Yes. So I just basically Googled it when I wrote my very first book ever, which was one of the mystery. I just Googled it, and there's lots of blogs out there that kind of tell you the process. And then most self-published authors go through Kindle first. Amazon Kindle. Kindle Unlimited. And so I just, got my account set up and just I learned as I went. And, I personally, just for me only, I don't have any desire to be traditionally published, probably ever. I love self publishing. I love setting my own schedule, only answering to myself, I have complete control. There are obviously pros to traditional publishing, but just for me, it's more worth it to self publish. I love it. So.
Well, I'm gonna go through your catalog, and where we're gonna do this, y'all. Y'all get your pens and paper ready. We're gonna go through the author's catalog, and we're gonna let her introduce you to some new books, some new characters, and some new things. But I am gonna talk about. Well, this is a question. You were writing series a lot. I want to say from 22 to 24. In 2025, you have dropped a book, if not every month, every other month, consistently. And they have been not novellas, they have been books probably close to 300 or more pages. What changed for you in 2025?
That's an excellent question. I am one of those 300,000 Black women who lost their job. So I was adjuncting, teaching at a university, and it's just enrollments are down across the board, and so they just didn't have room for me anymore. And so it was like, and I had been thinking about writing full time. I just never had the courage to do it. So I joke with my friend, like I just kind of got thrown in the deep end of the pool. And so I'm full time now, not through any fault of my own, but it is what it is. And I told my friend, I kind of like the hustle though. Like, my mother used to say, if you don't work, you don't eat. I think that's in the Bible too. So I'm writing because that is my job. And if I don't write, I don't eat.
Well, I'm sorry that that happened to you, but I feel blessed. I'm just saying, I'm like, yes, another one, yes, another one. Um, so I have some of them written down, and I'm going to go over, and then you can tell us a little bit about them. And then I'm going to stop at Call Me Miss Taylor because, well, you know what? Let me just do it now. So I do something where I like to just tell you what people are saying about the work that they're reading. And I want to read to you because it's not your most recent. Because people were like calling Miss Taylor, like, no, there's been no, three since calling Miss Taylor, right? It's been three of them. One, two, I'm looking. One, two. Yeah,
Beta
I think
Prism.
three.
Yeah, three.
There
Yes.
was, yeah, there's been three. And so, but I want to go back to this calling Miss Taylor because I just want to tell you what people have said about it. This is an opportunity for readers or watchers to give flowers to you. Um, so this is what people are saying about Call Me Miss Taylor. It's Ace and Rhea's story. This requires glasses.
Right.
Okay. This book is just wow. Oddly refreshing, entertaining, a wild ride, a crazy ride. Woo, wow, exciting, highly recommended, insanely insane. Good read. Miss Sanders. This was a read that let me see that I thought was excellent. It was amazing. Definitely a departure from the norm. This book was a lot. I've read many of your books. This is absolutely amazing. Crazy, crazy on pages. So well written. I just felt blessed. It felt real. A 10 out of 10. Now I'm unhinged and I love it. Craziest book I ever read and I loved it. Shae Sanders always knocks it out of the park. Well, that's just some of the things that people said about Call Me Miss Taylor. And when I tell you, there's this thing when you can read a book and the character is so maybe not likable, but the author makes you not like them so well that you just fall in love with the book. That's the way I feel. I feel like I had never read anything like that because you don't get a lot of unhinged women that aren't just like, like a second or third role character that's kind of like in the background. So you did a good job. Calling Miss Taylor came out March 2025. What was the seed to that story?
You said The Seed.
Uh-huh.
So it was, a few years. It was a long time ago, though. Like I said, the Gone Girl movie just planted in my head, like, I would love to see a black female character who's unhinged. And then, years later, I don't even know why it popped back up in my head, but it was like, I'm going to go ahead and write her. And I typically will get an idea and then I'll do the cover first. I don't know why. I just kind of visualize it. And so once I did the cover and you see her eyes, I was like, okay, I'm going all the way. She's going to be crazy. And it just grew from there. And I tell people, it almost kind of scared me that I created her, because I don't know how I conjured half the stuff that she did. It was taxing to write, I'll be honest. Being inside of her head, like some days when I closed my laptop, my head would hurt, or I could feel, my heart would be beating fast and my blood pressure is going. So it was a journey to be inside of her head sometimes, to think like her. But I mean, I love her too, because I think there's maybe a little Rhea inside all of us.
I agree. I really,
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Um, they were both extreme. Obviously, her extreme looked very different.
Mhm.
Like you said, it was like in your head. You hear authors often say a character was in their head, the character was with them. They couldn't turn the character off. And I read a note someone put in the interview about the interview was, we really want a part two? But my question is, how do you get that rage from that character? How do you get her to be quiet?
Um, you just, I think you just pivot to something completely unlike her. So, you might watch, and I remember, I don't know what I was binging at the same time I was writing it, but it was something light and fluffy. Because it's to get out of her head and get back into mine. And, but she stayed with me, to be honest. I mean, she was never far away. And that's the thing I think with those characters you get really deep on, is like they stay with you, So that was and there is a part two coming, but I'm gonna have to do some real work to get back in there. And I was telling my readers group, because the sequel was supposed to come out probably around the end of this month, but another book idea got in my head, and the Taylors, we weren't there yet with them. I wasn't fully back inside their world yet, so I started working on a different book. But the sequel will be out before the end of the year. So I'm gonna have to get back in her head again.
Okay, so what was the most difficult thing about writing calling me Miss Taylor, and what was the something that you just really enjoyed about it?
So the difficult part, I think, was walking the line between making her unhinged versus unlikable. Because, like you said, it's hard to write a character that is just really a bad person and not have the reader hate. And a lot of times, romance readers are kind of hard on the FMCs. So you have to be really, really careful. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, they're gonna hate her. They're gonna hate her so much. They probably won't even be able to enjoy this book because they're gonna hate her. But she had heart, and she sometimes would say stuff that just made sense. And so it's just kind of like, well, you know what? She got a point. So that was the part.
She was.
Yeah. But that was the hardest part, though, walking that line. But then the part that I enjoyed, I think, was I enjoyed seeing her be unapologetically who she was, and it's like she never felt any shame about it. And that's something that, for women in general, we are shamed for having emotions, for, being angry, or for so many things. And so she just didn't really have any sense of shame about herself. And I think I just enjoyed that unapologeticness. I wish I could be this unapologetic in my life, and just walk around not caring what people think, So I did like that part.
So according to Carla, she says she was justified in her actions. This was her dad's fault. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, had she gotten therapy probably early on in her life, she may have turned out differently, but she didn't. And like you said, it's part of her upbringing. I mean, everybody has a reason. They have their reasons why, and her reasons were unfortunately very dark. And so she just kind of visited her rage on everybody else.
Mhm.
Is what it is.
What was the joy?
The joy,
Because
I think,
I feel like you stepped out of your norm. And
mhm.
I think a lot of readers said that, like, how did that feel stepping into something so different
Yeah,
for yourself?
I did enjoy that, and I kind of feel like I've been flirting with it a little bit in past characters. You can see little crumbs of them maybe having, being, just having some thoughts that might be a little off, but never really crossing the line. And so to be able to finally cross the line with my main character, that's a woman, and that it did feel good. It felt nice, and I think I'm going to do more dark romance down the road. Um,
Okay. Listen,
yeah.
listen. You finished 22 or 24. Pretty much in 2024, you were doing series. And so from transitioning from these series to standalones, and each one of the series each one of the standalones have been different. So let me talk about that a little bit. You had Call Me Miss Taylor was in March, and you went from there to Father of the Bride, which was like amazingly different.
Yeah, yeah, yes, very.
And it was a retelling of the Father of the Bride. Um, and then, well, let's just, how was that jump? Because after coming from complete crazy to like the most beautiful love reconnection, love rediscovered, grown, beautiful story. What was that transition like?
It was easy because I had the idea for Father of the Bride probably 2 3 years ago, and I had
Mhm.
kind of done a loose outline of it already. Just calling Mrs. Taylor just kind of jumped the line. I'm a mood writer, like some people are mood readers. I'm a mood writer, and so I put Father of the Bride to the side. So jumping back in, I already had kind of the blueprint in place, so it wasn't hard at all. I think the only hard part for me was that I used third person, which I rarely do. But
Mm,
there was so much going on. I felt like I needed to have the omnipresent narrator rather than the dual point of
right,
view.
right.
So that was really the only adjustment. But yeah, it wasn't hard at all.
You know what? I didn't. It was third person, but because if you watch the movie, it seems like the movie is told from the father. Like it's like someone's telling the father's story. If that makes sense. When you
Oh
watch
no,
the,
it wasn't based on the movie. I
it
of course
wasn't.
stole the title. No, I stole the title, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't based on the movie. Mm-mm.
Wow. Okay. Well, see, there you go. I said it was a retelling, so I was totally wrong.
No, yeah. No, okay, yeah. I didn't even catch that. But yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't the movie. I just stole the title. But this was just. I had been wanting to do something kind of like with multiple characters, kind of
Mhm.
messy, maybe close proximity for the weekend, and so that's kind of where I got the idea. Like, oh, wedding makes sense. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Why did you choose to use 40, 45, 47, 50, like a grown age characters?
because I'm 46, and I was like, you know what? Nothing against the younger characters, but I can't get in their heads in the same way that I can get inside a person who's
Hmm.
35 plus. And so and I think that far fewer romance books focus on over 40. Why not? They're grown. 40 is grown and sexy, right? And so
Yes.
and I mean, and 40 now is like 40. What did they say? 40 is the new 20. Like we're not our parents' 40. We
No.
are. Well, you might not be 40, but for me, it's like I still
Yeah, I
feel
might
young.
not be 40.
Yeah, you might not be 40. I don't want to say we, but yeah, I still feel young in my mind. So.
Girl, 40 is in my rearview mirror.
Oh, okay. Well, see, but like don't cry. You can never really know for sure
I
unless you
know,
ask.
right? But thank you. That's why I think I love it. I fell in love with it. And I was just like, I think again, I think I just needed that. But coming off of Calling Miss Taylor and then there. And let me see what came next. So you did a dark romance. You did the Father of the Bride, which I always just call that like a sweet romance. You did, and then you jump right into an erotica. You did the Sinful Chains.
Yeah, the
Is
trilogy.
the right? Is it Sinful Chains? Right. It was part of
Yes.
the Primal Fetish with Sherelle Green, which already interviewed her about it, and I was able to interview Stephanie Nicole Norris. And your book was number two,
Mm-hmm.
and it was across the board like an erotica.
Yes.
I mean, what was that like? So now, so y'all know we've already did the one with the stalker. So we've done a sweet romance, and now we're in Sinful Chains.
Mm-hmm. So, like you said, Sherelle, Stephanie, and they are veterans in this game. And they brought me on, and I'm so grateful to them because, I was kind of out here winging it. And so I feel like they're kind of like my fairy god sisters in this thing because I didn't know. All I knew how to do was write and publish. That's it. I didn't know anything about the business of it. I didn't know anything about audiobooks. I mean, there's a lot that they taught me. But so they put in on it, and so they're veterans with dark, they're veterans with erotica, and so I really felt like, okay, I got to be on top of my game because these women are solidified in this thing. So, but the process was just, and if you read Storm, he's very different from any male character I've ever written, and so it was interesting doing research for that because I didn't even know that was a thing. So I enjoyed writing that so much.
So this was your first collab, and the thing about it, the question, I might as well just read the question I have. I'm like, we don't see you in collabs often, and you wrote as part of a trilogy, and in this particular collab, they did something different. Each person had to finish the other person, so it was a continuous collaboration, which we don't see that often. So for your first collab, and I'm sure you've read collabs, how was it doing the continuous? Because you had to read Sherelle's work and you had to then continue that story and allow Stephanie then to pick it up. What was that
Yeah.
experience like?
It was not easy, and I told them this. I love it though because they're both very ambitious, and so they were like, we don't see
That was very ambitious.
yeah, and they were like, that's why we did it like that because we want to do something different, and I was like, I'm on board. I love it, but it was hard work, and then we're having to constantly check in with each other, and I mean we met a lot on Zoom to kind of figure out our characters and who's going to do what, and so there was just a lot of back and forth and checking in with each other. And of course, me and Stephanie had to read Sherelle's and so it took a lot of coordinating. But I mean, I loved it. But like you said, for my first collab, to do something like that, it was very ambitious. But I loved it.
Would you do more collabs? Not necessarily in that type of collab, but would you do more collabs now that you've done your first one?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I just love seeing you step into the sun. This is beautiful. This is just so beautiful because when I tell you that erotica was ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
so okay. So what was something exciting, or what was one of the best feelings you got from writing Simple Chains?
It was, I think, being able to write a male character, a black male character who is submissive and really connected to or to and it not be something that's degrading or not be something that makes him less masculine. It's just something that he likes and he does it and he gets a charge out of it. But that was also challenging because black romance readers typically prefer more of alpha, right? And he's not necessarily an alpha, but at the same time he doesn't need to be. And so and you still see his confidence, you still see how secure he is in his masculinity. So I love writing a character like that because I don't think we get to see that a lot. So
Listen, and then you went again. So y'all, again, we keeping this order. Y'all writing this down now. So again, we've done the unhinged female. We've done a beautiful love story. Now it's primal fetish, the paradox and erotica. Y'all, this is every month almost. Okay, so now we're so now we jump into a hitman romance. So this is one that I have not read. Okay. So I just want to ask you, like, what's the seed? What is it that can bring readers to this particular story?
okay, good question. The seed is that I watch a lot of true crime, a lot of Dateline, and somebody's always hiring somebody to kill their spouse. And so I was like, well, what if that's kind of the backdrop of this romance. And so it was really just simple as that. Like it's it's already in my head because I watched so much of it. So let's just make it a love story. And I love the main character in that book because you kind of get to see him become a lover boy. Like, so he's this, cold-hearted assassin. And over time, he becomes a lover boy. And I enjoyed writing that so much, that transition.
Why not series? Why all of these different, there's all romance,
Mhm.
but they're all different. And why? Why did you do that? And
Yeah.
step away from the series?
Series are not easy to do because you have to have that thread of connectivity. You have to introduce the characters in the first book that are going to come in the next book, and so on and so forth. And you have to keep that creative and that narrative thread going. And that's not easy to do and churn out super fast unless maybe you plan it out months in advance. And I just, like I said, because I'm writing full time now, I don't have time to do it like that anymore. So, I had the kind of luxury to do series in the past because I had a partner who worked full time and I worked part time. I had plenty of time, but I just don't have the time now.
You
And
know what? Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have to commend writers who do that. And like, there was kind of some negativity toward urban romance a couple weeks ago on social media.
Uh-huh.
And I just have to say, okay, try to write one. Okay, because those books are not easy. You want to say, oh, it's just thugs and struggle. It's not. It is cohesive storylines. It is world building. I mean, it's not. It's like I take my hats off to urban fiction writers because they are like screenwriters. They are
Absolutely.
right. So yeah, it's not. So series are not easy. They're not easier than standalones. They are harder than standalones. So.
Yeah, and again, I was jumping, and also what I found. Well, I have a question mark that I just wrote here. I was going to ask you when are you going to step into urban fiction. That was, that's the next question. But I'm going to say about that is that from my interviews over the years, a lot of them, people who they put a lot of their communities within their books, and so a lot of what is indeed urban fiction that people see is reality to a lot of people. And so people who may not have lived that life, it might be a lot harder too for them to also write it and make it believable. But it's art. And it's just like saying the person who creates a portrait with blues and the person that why blues are harder than reds, it's an art. And the question that I'm getting to is how do you feel about, because you're what was a professor, you're at a university, how do you feel when people refer to authors as like artists, like they're creating an art, when they refer to literature as more of an art style? How do you feel about that?
Oh, I agree 100%.
Mhm.
Because again, it's one thing to just write technically, put words on a page, but it's another thing to be able to touch the reader, to be able to immerse the reader in your world. You have to be descriptive enough. You have to get deep into the character enough. You have to. So it's an art form. Good literature is an art form. And I mean, I'm a constant. All writers, I think, we are constant students. Every book is maybe better than your last. I look back at some of the books I wrote early on, like, oh God, I might want to take these down. These are terrible. So, but you're always learning new techniques, and so yeah, it's a never ending process. Sure,
Okay.
and art.
So we're going to move on to, that was July, mid-July. So now we're already in September and we have another one.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think I want to go back and ask you a question again about Faded Rhythm because I didn't read it again. Um, so when I'm encouraging people to read this, if you can think of just a couple of words that can encourage someone, what would those words, dynamic words, be for a Faded Rhythm?
Uh, maybe love and murder.
I love it.
Love and murder.
Okay.
Murder,
All
yeah,
right.
because that's kind of the backdrop, and who's gonna die, who's gonna change their mind. I mean, there's a lot of backstory, there's a lot of kind of lore in the book
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as to why this man wants his wife dead, why the hitman decides I'm not going to kill her just yet. I need to know
Mhm.
more. So it's an intriguing backstory, I think.
So then you did, here we come September, and I'm seeing this real pretty cover.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just talk about covers first. There's also been a lot of talk about covers and cartoon characters, and what made you decide to use that cartoon style covers? Just curious.
Well, and I'll say this: this is only my second cartoon one. My cartoon cover books, and I have enough too, so there's a pattern. Tend to not do as well because I think people expect, grittiness or a little bit of grittiness. They expect a lot of spice from me, and so I think the assumption is, oh, well, that's probably just light and fluffy. It's probably sweet. Um, but I thought it fit the story because the story is light and fluffy. A woman, a journalist, like she hates love and everything that has to do with it, and she's kind of sent. It's almost like a Hallmark movie. Like she's sent to the most love obsessed town in the country to write a
Mm-hmm.
story, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna expose these people. This is a scam." So it's just it's light and fluffy. And I mean, honestly, I needed to write that. Everything in the world right now, we're not okay, right? And so I needed to write it because I needed something light.
Well, you kind of already said it, but the question that I'm going to go ahead and ask is, how does it make you feel when people refer to this particular book as a Hallmark style spicy book?
Oh, it fits. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
it the cover was not what the book was about. I'm just saying. I'm just
Right.
saying. I was like, okay, well, you know what? All the stuff happened last week in the world. I saw that cover and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read anything you write anyway. Let me just when I tell you, she was definitely on a journey.
Mhm.
I was like, look at Shay. So let me ask you in regards to Spice, after coming off of that erotica, did it allow you to just really feel more like going? I mean, granted, Crave was just everything, but moving back into this this character, I'm trying not to give it away, y'all. It's a character, and of course she's there like she's a journalist. She's going to see if anything is really true about this love. So she's testing out different relationships.
Mhm.
And yeah, she was getting taste and tasting, and there was a
Mhm.
lot going on. How did that again feel transitioning? Now here you are from stalker all the way down to now what you call like a Hallmark. How has that been this year for you?
What was the last part?
I said this year has been
Oh,
multiple transitions, and like you said, while we're in a time bubble in our world right now that is also transitioning. How has that the transition been from calling Miss Taylor to where we are now with Lovetown? Y'all, it's called Lovetown USA, but that's the book we're talking about.
yeah. It's not hard, and people are sometimes surprised by this because they'll say, like, people I know will be like, oh, you released another book. How do you feel? It's like you hit, publish, and then you start working on the next one because it's a job. So it's like once it's out there, I don't really, I'm out of that mind frame.
Uh-huh.
It's just like, okay, that's done. Moving on to the next one. I got to get the next book out, and so it's not really hard to make that transition. I might take a day, watch something,
Mhm.
binge watch something, and then I'm on to the next thing. So yeah, it wasn't hard to make those
Well,
transitions.
I'm gonna tell you. So I paused. I was reading one of your books. I don't remember which one, and I stopped. And all the stuff going on. I'm like, I'm just not gonna read. I'm just gonna. I just came back into the country. I haven't gone, and I'm like, I'm gonna just go a scandal binge, right?
Mhm.
Because I watched it back when it was on in 2017, and I was like, it's just not the same since I've been reading Black romance. It was like the first experience I had was so different from the experience I just had a few weeks ago. Um,
Mhm.
is that kind of almost like how the book world is for you? It's one way, like, I started off, this is kind of it, but I'm moving with I always say like social commentary. How is it impacting how you're putting those words on paper?
The as far as like the this you said social commentary.
Yeah,
Like
like the social commentary, coming up with it, transitioning, making sure that you know what I want to make sure this is not too heavy because this just happened in the world the other day. Maybe I need to give you this because the world that we're in, obviously, things are gonna land different, and yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, and in Lovetown, artificial intelligence comes up, AI, which is something, there's a conversation about that in the real world right now. And I didn't necessarily do that intentionally, but I think it's pretty relevant. And I'm a trained sociologist, so I always have social commentary in my books. It kind of sneaks in there because that's just how my mind works. That's how I'm trained. And it's like, AI comes up, in Lovetown, she's like, where's the black side of town? I know you got a black side of town, right? And so, urban planning, city planning, race, all those things will generally creep into my books at some point just because they're in my mind. And yeah, I think sometimes, even in a book that's Hallmark and light and fluffy, that I don't know, like I said, it's just kind of how I'm trained to always see those things. I can never really turn off when I'm writing, so it's always just gonna sneak in there.
Saying you're a psychologist really kind of explains a lot of
But,
your writing when you
oh,
say
yeah.
that because it does definitely show up. Because I was gonna, that's another thing in regards to research because you're like an actual researcher. So I know a lot of people say Google, but when you do even Google Scholar, which is totally different, where you're reading all the papers and things like that, how deep is your research for all of the books that we've named? Because even Crave, you had to do some research to make
Mhm.
sure that you got that right, all the way to Lovetown. What is your research like?
So Google is my friend too. Google and Google Scholar. Yeah, and once I get, once I start doing the character work and I have to figure out what they do for a living,
Mm-hmm.
what their backstory is, what motivates them, what drives them. So for Calling Mrs. Taylor, for example, I was deep in, psychology stuff, like how might it impact an adult if they experience this in their childhood, and I kind of had to read some depressing stuff, but it's got to inform my character, right? And so, yeah, my research and my character work are usually pretty extensive. It's kind of like that picture of the iceberg where, you only see the top, but it's like, miles and miles of it under the surface. That's what the research is. You might not even see all of it on the page, but we kind of have to do it so we know the character really well. So,
When you
yeah.
write your characters out, do you like put them on cue cards or things of that sort? Like how do you make sure that you assign the correct you know
Detail.
that you give them the right characteristics?
Yeah, good question. I have like character worksheets, and I write in Scrivener, and so they've got, you're gonna have different layers, and so I'll have, my character sheets, and then, their names, first, last, middle, their parents' names, all of their siblings. It gets really extensive, and by the time I'm outlining, I know them really well, and so it's like second nature, Rhea, Ace, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so it's I mean, outlining and character work are the tedious parts of writing, I think, and editing. But if you do it right, you will really know your character, and that shows up on the page.
You use an editor and you use, but what about beta readers? You use those?
I have a beta reader. She used to read my mysteries. She doesn't read my romances though. So I guess that's a no. And then editing,
Wow.
I edit my own. I am on a budget, so I edit my own books. I make my own covers. I basically do everything. And in my mind, I'm like, this could look better, but for what this is what I can afford. So, and I just kind of have to hope that the readers like it when they pick it up. But yeah, so, and the editing, I miss stuff, but I kind of have been, trained to edit my own work because of writing a thesis, writing a
Right.
dissertation.
Right.
You have to
Right.
do it so many times, so it's just kind of like second nature to me. And I write every night. I send myself the draft, read through it, go through marking stuff. So I kind of edit as I go. And that's not an easy process either. But like I said, that's what I can afford, so that's what I do.
Audibles. Um, so I would love. if I could hear Crave on Audible, I could just imagine what that's like. But that's just my special brain request, you know. But 2025, there have been so many blessings for so many authors to have the opportunity to grab Audible book deals. You have been dropping all of book. Are we or can we expect any books on Audible anytime soon?
Yes, and so this is also thanks to my fairy god sisters because when we were writing the trilogy, they had that all set up. We're gonna do audiobooks as well, and so just by virtue of me being part of that project, I got hooked in with someone in Tantra Media, and so I was like, well, can I just send her my other stuff? And they were like, go for it. And so she was like, yeah, okay, so well, we're gonna offer you this. Had I not been part of that, I don't know that I would have been able to do an audiobook because it's almost like it's like getting into sports. Like you need an agent, you need somebody to introduce you, kind of thing. Or I guess if you sell enough, they'll come looking for you. But that didn't happen for me. So doing it this way, so I got 5 audiobooks in the pipeline,
Five?
and very excited about that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I know.
yes,
I mean, are you able to tell just one?
call me Mrs. Taylor. Well, I can tell you that. Well, actually, I'll tell you two. So, Mrs. Taylor, and then the Jackson Brothers series are all
Okay.
being turned into audiobooks. So,
So I have the Jackson Brothers series because I know we're getting close. We got to wrap it up. I have the Jackson book series. You want to tell people really quickly about that series, and I also have Family Ties. So let's do the Jackson series first.
my favorite men, Taurus, Ben, and I always blank on my characters once I'm done with those books. But Isaac, yeah. So that's my favorite series that I've done so far. Absolutely love, and the Replacements book 1 is my most popular book to date. So people
Yeah.
really love Taurus. But yeah, that was an absolute amazing journey writing those 3. Loved it. Family Ties. That was actually that's the only dip a toe into urban is the Family Ties series,
That's what I was
and
going to ask you, Urban.
that's why I haven't done it again. Because again, like I said, these urban writers, hats off to them. It's not easy. It is hard work, and so yeah. So I do want to dip a toe back into urban at some point because those books are fun. It's fun to write a world where people just don't give up, right? And it's fun to write those worlds, but again, it's a lot of work, world building and backstory, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, but hopefully one day I'll
Is
get back to her.
my brain is going back. Y'all, aren't y'all excited about the audiobooks? I listen. I don't know. I'm just gonna put it in this universe. But baby, if I could get Craig, let me stop because I'm
No,
not supposed to
but
do
and
that.
that's the one that I feel like I really want on in audio. It's just a matter of the music part of it because they sing in the book, and so I
Yes.
don't know how that would work. So that's been like the one. So I am going to submit that one eventually and see what they say about maybe getting people who can sing to do the singing parts. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, they have them. They have Wesley Shaban rapping
Oh,
in a bunch of books. So I mean, we could definitely do that. And I think Kennedy Ryan did that in Real too. She
okay.
did it in Real, where she had the whole part where the lady was a singer, so she had an actual someone singing. It was beautiful. But yeah, that book is just it was my introduction to why choose. Maybe I think that's why I'm so attached to it. Um, where was I? Where was I? Oh, the power of your words, because we're coming to the end. Um, I want to. How do you process the power of your words?
Good question. I think it goes back to the imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
I don't know that I know how powerful my words actually are yet, and it's always, like I said, it's always a surprise when people actually read my stuff, when they feel like my stuff resonates. It's just, it's very surreal to me still. And so I love that you guys enjoy my work, but it's just like on my side of things, I just don't see it yet. So I think as time passes, as I produce more books, maybe
Yeah.
I will kind of step into my power a little bit and be confident in my writer's voice. But for now, I'm still kind of, feel like I kind of tripped and fell into this. And, yeah.
Listen, you tripped and fell into it with a heavy hand because yeah, so the power of your words are definitely changing lives. And I know I'm very appreciative of it. And again, that's why I keep mentioning Crave. And I remember after I read Crave, I was like trying to DM you just any way I can get in touch with you. Like I have to interview. And this was 2 years ago. Like I have to interview her. Like this book, I was in a, everyone has times in their lives, and I needed that book. And so I just think it's just from me to you, just thank you because the power of your words, bibliotherapy, you know, um, a lot of people are using it for for bibliotherapy, for their treatment and opting to use books instead of medication. And so, just again, thank you. And empowering women, yeah, we can get a little crazy, not quite as crazy as Miss Taylor, but it's okay to get crazy. It's okay for us to see that side of how we can be in books,
Yes.
because we rarely get to see that unhinged woman. We're usually the backbone for the unhinged man. And so I thank you for giving us that, letting us know that we need those spaces as well. Any upcoming projects that you want to share outside of the Audible books? Because I'm gonna be telling everybody.
Actually, yes. My next book, I'm super excited. This is the last book before the Taylors come back. But it's a survival romance. It's called The Last Man on Earth. It's about a rapper who's headed to his bachelor party in Brazil, and then the plane crashes, and there's only a few survivors eventually. And so it's on a desert island, stranded on a desert island, and the flight attendant and the rapper and their journey. And I'm so in love with this book already. I cannot wait because it's very different from anything
Yeah,
I've
it
written before.
sounds different.
Yeah, I love doing stuff that's different. So it's very different. So it's kind of like if you liked, like if we used to read Lord of the Flies and
Yes, yes,
English
yes.
class. So kind of a cross between that and like that Tom Hanks movie where he's stranded. But like so
With
stranded on a desert.
the one with Brooke Shields.
Oh, and the Blue Lagoon, right, right. And then Tom Hanks when he's
Uh,
stranded with the soccer ball, right?
uh,
So it's very different from anything I've written, and I'm super excited about it. So that's Last Man on Earth. It'll be out in October.
oh, so that's a few weeks. Yes,
Mhm.
sis, you are giving us a book almost every month, and they're all so different. I love this. I don't think I've ever heard of a survivor trope, so I can't wait to
Yeah.
get into that. Um, any is that going to be? Well, Miss, you're going back to the Taylors after that. I was going to say, is there any other books dropping after October? So can we
Yeah.
expect?
Taylor's will probably be early December. Book
Okay.
two. Yeah.
Woo, fire. Y'all have any questions, please put them in there now. I'm going to get to your guys' questions. I know I have taken up this whole interview with my questions, but I want to make space. If anybody has anything, you guys can type it in there. Um, I do need to ask you about sex scenes because, again, I'm going to go back to Crave, but I saw it also in Lovetown. When you do your, this is such a silly question, but I have to ask, on the the threesomes and foursomes, how long does it take you to orchestrate to make sure the body parts are going in the right directions?
No, that's a good question. It takes a lot of concentration because it would be so easy for them to just be looking like pretzels or like a game of Twister. Like you really have to see it in your mind to
Uh-huh.
get it on the page. So it's like I have to envision it. And I have to keep checking to make sure, was he there the first time or was he there on the last page? Like you have to keep track of everybody, where they are, what's touching, what's not. It's not easy to make it. I think there's some people who do it really, really well. Like Sean does White Shoes and the group scenes really, really well.
ML
Katrina Jack,
Bash does it well.
Rosie Adams. So it's like, but it's like when you write Polly or White Shoes, Viviana, I'm blanking on her name, but she does Polly. But it's not easy. So it's like,
Or I think it's Ari Days does it.
yeah, Ari Days. Yep.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
you really have to be coordinated, because if it doesn't make sense on the page, your reader is lost, and then immersion is gone, and it's not sexy anymore. It's just confusing, right?
And look, I be reading the book doing this.
Yeah.
I didn't rolling my hair around with the position. It's like, wait a minute here. And that's why in Crave I laughed so hard when he was like, hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah.
He's
And for
like,
them, in some poly and Y choose the guys swords cross, and some they don't. And in my books they don't. I think just my readers are used to them not. And so, but there are books where they do, and all love to that too. So, but yeah, that was an important part, I think, for him to say that out loud, because to make it clear, like, they're really just here for her, not each other.
do you research those scenes? Like, how do you research? I've heard a lot of different ways that people get it. How do you come up with those scenes?
I don't research it. I kind of let it take shape in my mind. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
these people are going to be there. They'll be in the bed, or they'll be on the wall. But then after that, it just kind of has to take shape in my mind. And I just try to get creative with it, And I feel like I had to say this too. I've never done any of this stuff that I write about. Most of the stuff I write about, I've never
It should
done.
come with a warning. Don't try it home.
Right. Yeah. This is just straight from my imagination. So, but I mean, yeah, I just kind of envision it in my head, and then I write it. And I'm not judging. I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. It's just that it's not from my experience. It's literally just from my imagination.
Yeah, because some people might get hurt trying to do cartwheels and splits. I was reading one the other day. It was like splits, putting both her feet on her neck. I was like, "Oh, child, you're gonna have people in the hospital." There
Mhm.
is a question that I see. It says, "Which FMC are the most like which FCs are you most like, and which MMC would most likely date, and why?" And that
Ooh,
came
good.
from Amaya. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I don't know how to put it together.
That's a good question. So I think Savannah from Replacements, because she was kind of like, she was a soft life girly. When she got divorced, she was looking for a new man to take care of her. And Taurus would probably be my number one to date, because he was a provider. That's something that I believe very strongly in. That's my religion. So that's what it would be. I dating after divorce, I just jumped right in, like Savannah. So that kind of our imitating life. I kind of jumped right in. So, yeah, that's my thing. Dating after divorce, at my age, I just feel like I ain't got time for the games. I know exactly what I want. So it is what it is. So Savannah, I resonate with her very much. She's like, I'm gonna get a job.
Savannah is in which book for people who don't know?
Replace the Replacements.
The
She got
Replacements.
that job so she could find her a corporate dude to retire her again. So hey, yeah.
If someone's jumping into your catalog, what's the first book that you would tell them to read?
If they're not shy, I would say Crave. But if they are just kind of dipping a toe in, then I'd probably say the Jackson Brothers, The Replacements.
Okay, Jackson Brothers.
Hey, Sharia.
Um, excuse me. Where can people get your books if people want to get your books?
So all of them are on Amazon except for Church Girl, which is on my website, Shae Sanders, books.com. But the rest of them are on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read them, as part of your plan. And somebody I saw in the chat had mentioned Black Romance Book Fest and the
Yeah,
Taylor.
when would the Taylor book be out? I was
Yeah,
according to Carla wanted to know, will the Taylor 2 book be out before BRBF?
yes, and at the actual event, at the next Black Romance Book Fest, I'm going to have a special edition of the Taylor books. It'll be an omnibus with the two books together.
Oh,
Beautiful paper.
beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
excited
going to
about it.
be beautiful. Um, well, I want to just say thank you. Thank you for your time, your talent, everything that you're doing in this community is appreciated. Um, I know you're not in these streets often, but is there, but outside of next June for the Black Romance Book Fest, are you going to be anywhere?
So right now, that's the only thing on my calendar. But like I said, I'm going forward going to put myself out there more. So if you may see me before then, it just depends. And if so, I would definitely let you guys know on social media. But yeah, and excuse me, Black Romance Book Fest, definitely though, I will be there in May. And also, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And also, oh, this is what I was gonna say earlier. Sorry for not getting your DMs way back then.
Oh,
I have
that's
such
okay.
anxiety. So a lot of times if I see I have one, I don't even open it because I'm like, oh no, what is this kind of thing? You know,
That's
I get,
okay. Because everybody's
so
gonna be coming for you now, and I'm glad I got the first one.
I'm trying to get
Everybody,
better
and
about that.
I told her I saw Ashley on here, I saw Mimi on here, and they all are great interviewers. They have great shows, and you have great work. They have great followers. If you guys aren't followed, follow them. They're amazing. Shar. I mean, there's so many amazing people who've come through to watch. I have made it a point now to give shout out to the creators and the content creators because we are you guys' advertising boards. Um, and it's something that we do because we just love your work and we love this community. We love Black love. That's why we're doing this. And so again, you guys go follow the creators because that's how they're able to continue to do what they're doing. And it just shows love and so yeah. So I'm saying that because
Yeah.
we all share this space together, and the more that you get out there, the now that you're here and I'm talking and they see, hopefully more people will come because your stories need to be told and yeah.
Yeah,
So
and can I echo that because yeah, without the content creators, I would not be where I am because it's not as easy as just writing something and hit and publish. People have to find you, and so the content creators who put me out there very early on are the reason. So it was very early on. I think Shades and Pages was one of the first people to
yes.
post about my book.
Yeah.
Um, Aries Reads Too. So there's a list of creators who,
Mm-hmm.
when I first started, were like, I love this, I'm going to post about it. And they did, and it got eyes on my work. So I just want to thank all of you for what you do.
Yes.
It is, priceless and important work. Black romance doesn't get the same attention that, contemporary, really white romances get. And so if not for y'all, a lot of us, we would not be where we are. So thank you guys for that, for all your work in this
Yeah.
space.
Well, I know I appreciate it, and I'm gonna keep doing it because if I read it and I like it, and sometimes I may not even like it, but every book's not for everybody. Every book is for somebody,
Right.
and
Right.
but I cannot let you go without asking you: would you ever do a YA? Because everyone always that's specifically for Shar because she loves YAs. Would you ever consider a sports romance? And would you consider a historical fiction?
Yeah, so sports romance, I've thought about it. Those are not easy either. So I think I would, but there's a pin in that. Historical fiction, yes, absolutely. And I would also do romantasy. I actually have a story that I put away years ago because
Mm.
romantasy is very hard too. The historical one, I have one in the pipeline. Is Freaknik
Okay.
eras romance. I just haven't picked it back up yet. So that's in the and it sucks. I feel so old saying that that's historical fiction, right? 90s because I grew
I
up in
was
the
gonna say,
90s.
well, the '80s is
Right, like
historical
I'm
fiction.
shading, we're shading ourselves by calling that historical, but it is what it is, right? So, but yeah, so I have that in the pipeline. So you're gonna keep seeing different stuff from me. I just, I like a bunch of different spaces, So like I said, the survival romance is up
YA,
next. YA, what's that?
a young adult book.
Oh, young adult.
Mhm.
Well, the historical one is young adult because it's college student, but mostly it's gonna be 35 plus. You may see young adult from me, but again in that historical
Okay.
space.
Um, I know you mentioned you have a group. How can people find your group if they're interested in becoming a part and following your group or Patreon? What is the process?
Oh, my reader group is on Facebook, and it is just Shae Sanders books. I think if you put it in the thing, it'll pop up.
Hmm.
Not me, not my actual person. My Facebook got hacked years ago, so I only use it now for my reader group, and so it should pop up. But if you come across one and it's got a bunch of like shoes and stuff on it, that's the wrong one. That's the one that got hacked. So it should pop up as a group, and it's public, so you should be able to just hit a button and join it.
Okay, well, again, thank you. I'm just gonna shout out really quick these books so you guys can get them before we go. I'm gonna just not go in any particular order. The most recent was Lovetown USA. That is just a beautiful love story, but it has some spice to it. We all are talking about Call Me Miss Taylor. It is an obsessive dark romance about a female stalker. Father of the Bride is just I call it a recovery to love. It's grown, it's sexy, it's fun, it's messy, and I think you would just love it. Um, all the way to the cover because he's so fine. Uh, Faded Rhythm is a hitman romance. The two words to describe it was love and murder. And then 1, 2, 3, I think I got those. Oh, Sinful Chains is a part of a trilogy that follows one after another. A collab with Sherelle Green and Stephanie Nicole Norris. It's an erotica. It's a really dark erotica. Um, then there's the series, the replacement series, and then I think we talked about Family Tie, and of course we talked about Crave. And the author said if you want to, you want to on a no risky side, maybe to stepping into her catalog, you can give Crave a try. If not, it was the Jackson Brothers series. And that's all I have. I'm going to let you close this out and you can. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something. Next week, I interview. My brain always freezes when it's time to tell me who I have next week. I need to write it down. Next week is Author Unique. We're going to be talking about her new release. And then I'm going to let the author close it out. It's all yours.
Oh, I just want to say thank you so much. And also, it was lovely meeting you at Black Romance Book Fest. But thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your kind words to me because, knowing that keeps us going. You never know what's going to happen when you hit publish, when you hit upload. Will people like it? Will they hate it? So I appreciate you, faithfully reading my books. That means so much. And to, your guests in the chat, thank you for being here. And yeah, I'm going to keep it going. So you'll
All
see
right.
more of me.
All right, y'all. Thank you. And see y'all later. Bye-bye.